Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. This is Shadi Dawi. I'm your host for today in this interesting episode. I have with me here a leader from the UAE, His Excellency Maher Al Kaabi, advisor to Group Chairman and independent board member at Circle Group, also UAE Circular Economy Council member. It's a great pleasure to have His Excellency with me. Mr. Maher Al Kaabi, a visionary leader and a seasoned banker with experience in the IT industry. His Excellency Al Kaabi will discuss the concept of the digital triad, how AI, circular economy, and capital markets are interconnected in the UAE's vision. Welcome, Your Excellency.
Jazakallah khair. Thank you very much for having me and hosting me.
It's a pleasure. The first question, given your role at Circle Group, how are you seeing private sector organizations balance profitability with circular economy principles?
Sure. I think take a step back to understand our businesses in UAE understand the importance of sustainability, first of all. And I think COP28 has been a good paradigm shift to create awareness, which I would say has been missing for quite some time, despite many initiatives. And I think as a nation, as companies, we used to be very circular in nature. If we just go one generation behind, but I think sometimes with the abundance of wealth, you actually derail. So we're trying to make sure that we correct our path. So I think a lot of companies started having the importance of circular economy. Establishing a council, UAE Circular Economy Council, has been a great play. The reason being, I'm trying to give a background to make sure that we go to the questions
Sure.
and how do we answer that. Because what we do in the council, we do not come up with policies ourselves. We actually go to the private sectors who are subject matter expert in the policy we want to issue.
Excellent.
We also bring academia into the play if there is something that need to be done from research and development perspective. So in the first cohort, we've issued 22 policies, and all the 22 policies were issued based on those, I would say, framework. We're working on the second 22 policies as well. Second cohort, we're doing exactly the same thing. Maybe a month ago, roughly, we had a workshop aligning our thought with the private sector. So that's the importance of involving private sector, government, and coming up with the policy. Then it will also try to create an intersect, because within the council itself, we have the chairing by Minister of Economy and Tourism, who's also responsible for digital economy, to digitize the economy completely. So he has two mandates apart from his ministerial job. So when we talk about this policy, we always talk about how are you going to digitize whatever you're going to do, because that becomes very important. Because at the end of the day, we would be doing manual reporting, but they will be prone to errors, delays. It's going to be inefficient. So, and given that the economy is getting digitized now, we need to make sure we depend on the digital platform. So I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
In Circle, one of the companies that we have, which takes waste management from 14,000 food establishments in Dubai alone.
Right.
Imagine if we do that manually today, what would be the way we would report to the government? And this is a partnership between us and Dubai municipality. And this plant has been there since 2009. And there was a kind of a promise to the ministry, like, no, we're working on to digitize and create a platform. So we built a platform. Now all the 14,000 food establishments are connected. So whatever waste they generate on daily basis, it's on the platform transparently at the same time. So it's not like there is a delay of a week. No, it's just on the same day. So what will that enable you in the future? You'll be able to do predictive modeling, which is your AI machine learning models. Why would we want to do a model? Because we want to see what are the cyclical effect of this waste, when will generate, because we're a nation where a lot of tourists comes. So when tourists comes, that means there are more foods getting prepared. That means more waste getting generated. So we would like 100%. To address this waste so we can reduce the impact of greenhouse gas emission in terms of CO2 and even methane, which is even more deadlier.
Yeah.
So this is how I think family businesses slowly are trying to put their framework, first of all, from sustainability. And they're now introducing technology to make sure that this framework are supported. The technology becomes like a platform, a layer to build upon that.
Interesting. Thank you very much. Yes. Dubai has had an AI minister since 2017. Long before most even knew what AI is, before probably this big hype which you have been witnessing. How did you make sure that everyone in government was on board and understood the importance?
First, let's break the myth on AI. AI has been there since 1648, and I'm doing my doctorate in AI itself. We used to work on machine learning model back in 1999, early 2000, in my previous career at Citibank in global levels. When someone comes with AI minister at 2017, when AI is not yet permeated or known globally, that tells you there's a foresight. But AI was not the starting point for us. The starting point for UAE and Dubai particularly was in 1995, when His Highness came to a hotel nearby, Jumeirah Hotel, and he brought his N-1, N-2, N-3. And he said, look, we're going to be converting our government to e-government. So our government will offer e-services, 1995. And the journey is for 5 years. But the journey is going to be a bit tough because you're talking about the cultural change now from people manual to automated. People will have a fear they might be losing their jobs. So, but his message was very clear. He said, look, whoever is with us, we will see a success of that in 5 years and we will welcome you on board. But if you cannot, we thank you for your service. Please resign. That was the direct message. So the seed of what we see in AI has started in 1995. Now fast forward. So that's why did I mention this? That tells you there is enough experience has been built up in addressing culture, in reskilling your people on the e-government part of it. So that's whatever now you add on as a new layers, whether it's AI, digital twin, and blockchains and all this thing, you're actually now building on what you have built in 1935. That's the reason I mentioned that story.
Yeah.
So when AI came in, the appointment of the minister itself was the building block of making sure we're making everybody and all the ministries connected to understand that this is something an important role, and that's why we have a ministry. The second thing we have done, we put that strategy UAE-wide. So that means now there is a clarity of vision of what we want to achieve and what will AI deliver. The third thing, we have reskilled over 500 government officials because cultural change happen when people start understanding the technology and appreciate what technology can offer. Fourth, we made sure government actually take the lead in adopting the technology into government services. So UAE has been always the lead of adopting anything new, whether it's technology or whether it's a sustainability. And that gave more power and confident people start using it. So now you're indirectly motivating, inspiring the private sector to follow the suit of the government. Fifth, and not the last but not the least, you made sure whatever you have quick wins are happening, you're celebrating those wins because people want to see the wins. Is it really working, not working? And that was an important part. And this is how you permeated it.
Perfectly described. That's why also there was also a decision to appoint 12 or 16 in AI for all government.
Because apart from having a minister, now you need to have champions who can talk to the minister and take the permeated knowledge to the respective...
For all sectors.
For all sectors, correct.
Your Excellency, what's your vision for the intersection of innovation, business, and environmental responsibility in the UAE?
Very much connected. I always say there are few trends are shaping the world today, and I echo this all the time. One is governments are trying to digitize their economies. When we say digitize, anything to the use of AI, digital twin, IoT, the sensors that we have. In the future, near future, quantum computing as well, and many other things. The second important trend, which is going on also globally, and countries are behind that, is how do we move from linear economy to circular economy? Meaning, how do we start using more renewable energy by creating more of that thing? How do we make sure our cities are smart, but also sustainable in terms of the greenhouse emission happening over there? Work on the biodiversity, on plantation. And the first trend, which is digital, will actually play a strong role in supporting and development and improvement of the circular economy. So now you see, I'll give you a very example which has been very difficult to consume. When we talk about nuclear fusion, 1 or 2 years ago, if you talked about nuclear fusion, you would say it's impossible to happen. The scientists are working behind it. But because technology of AI being there, you're able to do scenario analysis very quickly because machines is helping us with that. And now we have a model ready for nuclear fusion. There's a company called Helium in the US, a startup company. They're building a 500 megawatt plant for Microsoft data centers, and they'll be ready by end of 2027 or beginning of 2028. So technology becomes a cornerstone of developing that. The third piece to that thing, That's mean you require funding, investment going behind both technology. But when you now have the confidence of technology being around you, you'll see how much of money getting poured. I just came up from an AI keynote in Austria last week. And my keynote was about AI and the capital market and how people are investing billions of dollars and in the near future, probably trillions of dollars behind the technology of AI and the surrounding ecosystem of AI, like the data centers and many other technology which will support of that thing. UAE itself took a leap, absolutely almost up $1.4 trillion of investment around the AI and the ecosystem of AI. Those are a huge amount when you know that GDP of UAE is about $570 billion only. So you're spending more than 3 times over your GDP in a technology which we know there's going to be a lot of valuation for that.
Amazing. What do you believe has been the single most important move on the UAE's path to AI leadership?
I always say that we're blessed that we have leaders like what we have today, and even the founding members, may Allah bless their soul. They're always thought of people on what need to be done. Appointment of the AI minister himself, I think that is the biggest thing to do. That was the message to global world. Look, you're not even talking about AI. We are 5 years before time appointed the minister because we knew the value. And when you say I appointed the minister today, that's mean the thought process has started even before that.
I was about to tell you when you were talking about this. Yeah. Definitely.
So that's mean you already knew that this is coming up. That's why 8 years ago we came up with
vision.
Yes. So there are 3 key things makes you very successful. You need to have clarity of vision, and clarity is very important along with the vision. You need to make sure that you have a strong execution power, which UAE is very good in, by the way.
Yeah.
In corporate world, we call it when rubber meets the road. The third, which is also very paramount, and UAE has been building on it since the founder of the countries, is how do we have aligned teams who can also work with the same vision and same execution power? Because it's not only one person, it's the team which makes it happen, because you want to make sure that you last for a very long time. And the team will also bring more team and so forth and so forth.
Thank you. How can technology accelerate the UAE's transition from linear to a circular economy, which you mentioned before?
Let's take examples. I think with examples, it will be easier to comprehend.
Yeah.
DIWA, for example, a few years ago, 5 years ago, they started with implementing smart grids. Now, the importance of the smart grid is, which is a technology-based completely thing. Now, if you have renewable energy, how do you integrate renewable energy to your traditional grid? You won't be able to do it unless you have a smart grid. And what's the application of a smart grid? It will tell you, this is now a daytime. I got renewable energy, which is only available during sun when it's out. So let me prioritize use of this energy vis-a-vis using me a gas or a gasoline or the oil industry now. So I will save that. So my smart grid will help me and make sure that I maximize the usage of my renewable energy on the daytime. So that's one impact. If I have renewable energy coming in from the wind power, and I know the wind is there, and I can see that the wind has generated enough energy and the wind is not going to be there, which I can do with forecasting, then I can prioritize use of the wind vis-a-vis the solar, vis-a-vis the additional energy. So that's one simple example of how technology will help us to maximize the usage of renewable energy.
Amazing, very well described. Thank you. How should investors think differently about value creation when AI and circular economy principles are core to a business model?
If you look at the world arena today, a lot of investments now are going into sustainable investments or impact investment, I would call it. And if that is the case, you'll see a lot of people who are going for investment. If you're not a sustainable investor, you're not an impact investor, the BCG says, a report, and the other big fours as well says, 70%, if not 76% of the outset of it, are rejecting to invest in companies who are not impact investors. Impact investors may mean anything to do with the 17 SDGs we have, whether it's to do with sustainability, creating jobs, removing poverty, agriculture, sustainable agriculture, and so forth. So you automatically now you will see investors are prone to make sure that they invest in these technologies and invest behind things which are going to be sustainable. Only then you'll have people investing behind them. Otherwise, it's become very difficult over the coming decades.
Amazing. See, I mean, we want to spend more time with you, but the discussion is going greater and greater. Let me conclude by a strategic question. How can AI contribute to achieving the UAE's sustainability goals by 2030?
It will accelerate and make sure that we pivot very quickly in terms of achieving our target of 2030, 31, and the net zero by 2050. So every vertical that we're working on within the country, if you look at the UAE policy for circular economy, there are 4 key sectors that we are focusing upon. And I put them in an acronym called MIFT, M-I-F-T. M for manufacturing, how do we have sustainable manufacturing? I for infrastructure, F for food security, and T for transportation and sustainable transportation. And if you look at the announcement in the last 5 years, everywhere where we have worked on these sectors, we have introduced technology to help us with. Let's take the example of transportation, for example. Now we're trying to bring in VTOLs, which are going to be transporting people, which are electric in nature. That's mean now we're using technology to reduce the greenhouse gas emission. We have put in policy, for example, on all the cars which are e-vehicles today. And you can see in the last just 2 years, the number of e-vehicles has been sold. It's been more than double vis-a-vis the previous 2 years, I think. Of course, putting up smart grids to make sure we accelerate the penetration of these vehicles itself. And so far, you can apply the same example on the other 3 sectors I talked about.
Any last word from you to an advice that you want to give from an economy perspective and a call for investors who are coming, and especially we're talking about AI, and we all know that UAE, we spoke about the minister of AI and all the great initiatives and the regulations, and we all know UAE is one of the world's leading regulators, not only in AI, but also in virtual assets and so many aspects. So one advice from you, Your Excellency.
Sure. I usually give an advice which is completely different than what people want to hear. If we want to be sustainable, I think we should talk this about among ourselves, but we need to go back home and teach our children this. We need to go back to the education system at school and universities and make them aware of it. I did a TED Talk beginning of this year talking about 6 things that we need to teach our children. Of course, definitely one of them is about digital economy and how do we put that into the economic system. Right. Sustainability and renewable energy, very, very important that we need to talk about. Entrepreneurship, it's very important that we talk to them and teach them, because KPMG came up with the result saying it like in 10, 15 years, 40% of graduates will become entrepreneurs. Then what are we doing with them? And 60% will be doing jobs which are not even invented today or not even known today. Geopolitical situation we're living in today, we need to be acumen to understanding of that thing. And above all, number 6 is how do we inculcate value system in them so they can build, they have the right moral anchor to build upon in the future, when the world leaders are actually eroding morality. But the last message and final message to this thing, I would invite people, like I did to a lot of friends I speak around the globe, come and explore what UAE is trying to do. Only when you're here, you'll get to see the different impact that we're trying to do at all levels. UAE is not about just making ourselves very well, but also we're trying to share whatever we have succeeded with our partners regionally and internationally, because our success will also should be complemented, making sure others also get succeeded.
Great advice. Thank you very much. Your Excellency Maher Al Kaabi, advisor to Group Chairman and independent board member at Circal Group, and also UAE Circular Economy Council member. Thank you very much for this great, insightful episode
Thank you
of Date with Tech and also Care for Sustainability. We're very glad and honored to have you with us, and we wish you all the best of luck, especially in your PhD. And we would definitely have you as a guest when after you inshallah graduate to tell us about the PhD successful trip, and I'm sure it will be insightful and it contains a lot of information. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Pleasure. Thank you.